Changes to the DCU might not be great for Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. From questions about her future to a potential recast, here's how James Gunn's DCU plans are more bad news for Wonder Woman's future. Starting with how a new HBO Max show raises questions about this character. At the end of January, James Gunn announced several projects that would be part of the first chapter of the DCU, called Gods and Monsters.
The fans here at San Diego Comic-Con are just some of the best fans in the world. They're people from all over the world who travel here because they love these movies, they love comics, and to be able to share this with them before anyone else is a special moment for me.
This confirmed several theories about which actors from the DCEU would stay in his new franchise and which might not be back for more movies. But Wonder Woman was one of the few heroes who wasn't shown or talked about at all in the franchise's early days. Paradise Lost was an HBO Max show set on the island of Themyscira. That's the famous home of the Amazons, as seen in the Wonder Woman movies, and it was one of James Gunn's most exciting DCU announcements. This story will take place before Diana Prince, aka Wonder Woman, was born. It's already been confirmed that it'll use ideas from Game of Thrones, which is one of HBO's most popular shows. Even though this project's still in its early stages, it's said to be an important part of the DCU's early stages. But the news about Paradise Lost is actually bad news for Wonder Woman. Even though its idea and source material are exciting, it's almost as if they're suggesting Wonder Woman's no longer needed, and they just might be. You see, Paradise Lost shows that Themyscira's more important to the DCU than Wonder Woman, and even though the news of Paradise Lost hints at Wonder Woman's future in the DCU, it also shows that the island of Themyscira's more important to the franchise than Diana Prince. Gunn's plans may come from a sincere desire to adapt the story at hand, but they also feel like a way to fill the Wonder Woman-sized hole in his DCU plan. Since Paradise Lost takes place in the turbulent years before Diana Prince was born, it seems like the perfect time for DC to learn more about Themyscira and the Amazon woman who lived there. The DCU's plans to give Themyscira more attention after the island was ignored in the first two Wonder Woman movies may be good for the island itself, but Diana Prince has been completely left out of the plans.
Nice outfit.
Thank you. Now, I will show you the way off the island, and you will take me to Ares.
Deal.
Wonder Woman doesn't seem to fit into the future of the DCU anymore, at least not in its early stages. She's now the only major DCEU superhero who doesn't have at least one confirmed appearance coming up in Gunn's schedule, at least for now, because it looks like Themyscira and the other Amazons are more important to the DCU's plans than Wonder Woman, and this makes Gal Gadot's role in the franchise unclear. Still confused? Well, I guess I'd have to explain the real reasons behind her absence. So basically, Diana Prince's strange absence from the DCU has some pretty solid reasons, and it might have got something to do with the recent problems with Patty Jenkins and Wonder Woman 3.
Wanting it to be a great film in every way, for every person, and then that kind of ended up making me make Themyscira, which is a land populated by Amazons because that's the lore, and then the superhero that I'm working on happens to be a woman.
Shortly after James Gunn and Peter Safran took over as heads of DC Studios, they made many big changes, like removing Henry Cavill as Superman. That showed they wanted to change the DCEU completely. One of these changes was that Wonder Woman 3 seemed to stop being made. Gunn said that Jenkins' working story didn't fit with the new plans for the DCU. He didn't cancel the sequel, but there hasn't been any news about it, so it may not happen. Everyone's worried that Gal Gadot's DC movies will no longer be canon in the DCU because of the trouble with Wonder Woman 3. Now, shortly after announcing his schedule, Gunn poked fun at Jenkins' previous DC movies, especially Wonder Woman 1984, saying that it didn't match the events and tone of the first movie. If the director was still working for Gunn's company, it seems unlikely he'd say so much about how much much he doesn't like what she does. So it's likely that Jenkins won't be back for Wonder Woman 3. But I don't think they'll pull another Henry Cavill with this one though, because Gal Gadot's version of the character probably won't leave with her. The news that the DCU will replace Henry Cavill as Superman made people worry about the other Justice League members. Everyone feared that Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, who's become a favorite among the DCEU cast, would also be replaced. Gunn's announcement showed that some DCEU actors would keep their roles. It was confirmed that Zachary Levi's Shazam would stay in the DCU. They also hinted that Jason Momoa's Aquaman and Ezra Miller's Flash could also survive the shakeup of the franchise. Gunn didn't mention Gal Gadot until he was asked, and even then, he didn't say much about her. This could mean that her time as Wonder Woman is ending. There are both good and bad things about the idea of recasting Gadot. On the one hand, DC fans who like the Snyderverse would be upset if they lost her version of Wonder Woman, but they would lose one of the most popular versions of the character ever put on screen. Recasting also allows it to tell new stories that fit the DCU better. Since Paradise Lost shows in detail how Diana Prince was born, it could even be used to bring her back into the series. Even though Paradise Lost seems to point to rough waters ahead for Wonder Woman in the DCU, it also marks the start of a new era. If they're not keeping Gal Gadot, that raises the same questions as there were for Superman though. But if they were to keep her around, there are ways to incorporate Gal Gadot in the new series. Gods and Monsters by James Gunn and Peter Safran gave us all answers, but Gal Gadot's role as Wonder Woman is still up in the air and may stay that way for a while. Since Paradise Lost is called a prequel, neither Gadot nor any other Wonder Woman actress will likely be needed for a while. Like, take Game of Thrones as an example. House of the Dragon was a prequel to Game of Thrones that took place before Daenerys Targaryen was born. It was also about politics. Since House of the Dragon used time jumps to tell the story that led up to Game of Thrones, it's possible that this is also what DC Studios has in mind. If so, this format could allow for Wonder Woman cameos, including jumps to the future with cameos from Gadot's Diana, while telling the story of a younger Diana with a new actress. When this series starts, Gunn and Safran should be able to talk more about how they see Wonder Woman. But I'd also have to understand the series a little bit more, considering the timeline of Paradise Lost doesn't allow Diana to exist. Sure, this new version takes place a very long time before Diana was born, but I feel that the Bana McDowell will be shown on the show. In the movie, Antiope stayed with her sister Hippolyta, which was not the case in the comics, but that doesn't mean she didn't start another tribe of warrior women before joining her sister in exile. In fact, the Amazon Civil War and the manipulations that led up to it could be influenced by the story of Jimenez and Perez. I also know that Hippolyta never gave up the throne in the movies, so that's another big thing that will be different. But when the Flash movie comes out, DC Studios will change much of the past. In this new DCU reality, the Amazons might be very different from what I remember. Only the gods on Olympus know, and they're not talking right now. That's all for how James Gunn's DCU plans could be bad news for Wonder Woman's future. See you in the next one.